the following spring. And there's something else that will lead to that as well. We'll talk about urea applications in just a moment. The next nutrient, which is very important, is manganese. And I cannot understate the importance of manganese. This is the single most common nutrient deficiency that we see on so many of the orchards that we work with, that has the biggest impact on bud quality and on yield and on disease resistance. This has so many effects and so many benefits. What is happening is that many growers are applying zinc without applying manganese, and the zinc, their soils and their trees and their plants are often manganese deficient to begin with, and then they apply zinc but don't apply manganese, and the result is that you have an even greater functional manganese deficiency. If you do nothing else from what you've learned on this webinar, I hope that you make manganese applications. In other conversations where I talk about cell division versus cell expansion and developing large fruit in the spring, manganese plays a critical role in managing potassium and getting potassium into the embryo in the right amount at the right time. It also, literally, there is, I could speak for an hour just about the benefits that manganese can have when applied at this stage. It's extremely important for pollen strength, for pollen tube development. If you want to increase pollination, if you have a variety that doesn't pollinate well, such as Regina cherries or any variety of any species, putting on a manganese application along with these other trace minerals has the capacity, I don't want to say it will, but it has the potential to take pollination from poor pollination to extraordinary pollination in a single year. It's not something that you have to do repeatedly or that you have to wait for a long period of time to get results. If you apply it in the fall, pre-dormancy, and you get it into the buds, you can have really strong pollination immediately right the next year. And that can be a really big deal for crops that don't, or for some varieties that don't pollinate well. The next nutrient, which actually ties into boron, to manganese, what we just spoke about with pollination, is boron. So boron synergizes with manganese to manage the calcium and potassium relationship, which is very important. And boron is also connected with manganese in the pollination and reproductive process. So invariably, when we talk about hormonal imbalances happening for disease and insect susceptibility in the spring at blossoming and pollination, there's almost always a connection to boron and manganese showing up for those diseases and when those diseases become present. So we typically, I like to see, instead of simply applying zinc in the fall, it is very important to apply manganese. In fact, I would say it's more important to apply manganese and boron than it is to apply zinc. And you can apply all three of those in combination. So how do you manage this? The solution